Welcome back to Mr. Orth's Flipped Classroom for Grammar. Continuing on with adjectives and adverbs, looking at problems with modifiers. Some confusing examples. Be aware that just because a word ends in ly doesn't make it automatically an adverb. There are the occasional adjectives where it ends in ly and they still modify nouns. For example, lowly and lonely. Again, there aren't many examples of this, but if you look at what they describe, you're going to draw an arrow to a noun or a pronoun, not necessarily to a verb or an adjective or another adverb. That's why it's really important, whenever possible, try to find the word you think a noun or verb or adjective or adverb is being described by. Find the word, and then when you do that, he'll tell you by the definition whether or not it's an adjective or an adverb. Also, be aware that some words have both adjective and adverb forms, such as real and really. Again, the best way to tell these apart, really is simply a synonym for very. So if you're trying to decide between real and really, drop very in the sentence in that place. If very works in that spot in the sentence, your choice between real and really should be the really form. Otherwise, use real, which really means genuine or actual, as opposed to real as we typically apply it. Also watch out for some words that are spelled the same for both uses. For example, a daily newspaper. That can be used to describe a noun, such as the newspaper, or reading daily can be describing the verb. So again, whenever possible, find the word that's actually being described. Also, watch out for the good versus well versus bad examples. Okay. And for an adjective, good is describing a person, place, thing, or idea in terms of its quality or its happiness. Beware of using examples of good where good versus evil. If someone did good, generally speaking, that means it's the opposite of them doing evil. If that's not what you meant, then we shouldn't be using good in that instance. Well is an adjective only when it refers to healthy. In fact, you could argue that healthy is a better and more precise word choice than well. And so if you can replace well with healthy in a sentence, you probably should be using healthy or its equivalent anyway. Bad refers to something that's of poor quality, a thing of poor quality, a person of poor quality, a place of poor quality. It also can mean unhappiness, or you can replace it with the synonym ill, as opposed to well. If you want to use the adverb forms, well, for the word well, it's the quality of an action. You did something well. Again, if you're looking at an action, following an action verb, generally speaking, you want to use well if it's explaining how well that verb was done. The only time you want good following a verb is explaining that you actually did good as opposed to doing evil. Also, for the word badly, if you're trying to decide between bad and badly, use the word poorly in that place in a sentence. If poorly works and makes similar sense, then badly was a better choice. Again, you can replace words with other words of the same part of speech and still be effective. Also, don't forget about double negatives. Negative words aren't just no and not or never, but it's also no one, nothing, neither, but also words indicate a lack of inclusion, like barely, rarely, scarcely, hardly. And also don't forget that N' is simply a contraction that means the word not, so it's still considered negative. Watch out for when we use them twice, especially words like can't, hardly. It may not seem like it's a commonly used phrase and therefore wouldn't be a problem, but not is negative, so is hardly. So I can hardly would be the better choice. You don't want to say the word won't, N', then followed up with no again later on. The one exception to this is using neither with the word nor. It's a correlative conjunction, and that's the only time you can have two negatives used together in a sentence and not negate each other. Last example. Watch out for demonstrative pronouns that can be used as adjectives. This, that, these, and those. The key is they're followed by a noun. This house, these shoes. And it doesn't happen much in the Midwest, but never use a phrase like them shoes. It should be these shoes. You can look at, for example, pronouns doing the same thing as being dealt with adjectives. It's really, whether talking about demonstrative pronouns, possessive pronouns, or indefinite pronouns, it's the same idea. If a pronoun is immediately followed by a noun, odds are pretty good that that pronoun, even if it's otherwise considered a pronoun, in that sentence is doing the job of an adjective. If you have questions, talk to your teacher after trying some practice examples. Feel free to put question marks next to items you're not sure about so that you can have those items clarified when you come to class. Good hunting.